Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
Your decision to have cucumber water has just dropped you down a little bit in my estimation.
In what way?
You as a man.
What? And you drinking bubblegum squash doesn't make me think that you're a high flyer.
Good morning, George. Drum and drummer. Thursday morning. Laggy Zoom. How we doing?
Oh, fuck's sake. Are we going to have to do no video?
Fine. I'm just going to turn my video off. Turn my video off.
Okay.
Stop video. There we go.
Awful.
Okay. Are you there?
Yeah.
Great start. We're off to a thrilling start on this Thursday morning.
Okay. Start again.
How you doing, boy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired. I haven't stopped. I got in late last night and then woke up and now I'm here. So there hasn't really been any separation between four countries yesterday.
Pray do tell.
And today, well, I went to Holland.
Whoa!
For a gig. Where do I begin with this one? I'm sure Chris Hampson is listening intently to wonder what will be kept in and what will be taken out in my hard edit that I do. Because this is something Chris said. He said, I listened to your podcast. And what's great is you give the professional version on the podcast. And then when I see you in person, I get some of the bits that you just can't put in there, you know?
Yeah.
And I went, shit, I feel like I'm usually quite open, you know, on the podcast. And I am. I don't want listeners thinking they've been shortchanged, you know?
Well, I think I could be a lot more open on things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I'm not saying, you know, we're not censoring ourselves. But you empathy with other people sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? And you don't want to spill other people's gossip, maybe without their permission, or stitch people up or things like that. So I think we self-moderate in a fair way.
I think we do. I think there's a lot of drummers that I know who, I don't know, portray themselves in a certain way, especially higher level drummers, you know, in interviews and stuff. But you might happen to know these people in real life and then you go, wow, you know, the wheels are off when they're not talking in that sort of media trained way, you know. I'm
sure there's a lot of drummers of, you know, top level and renowned who absolutely fucking hate going to the UK drum show.
Yeah.
There must be.
Yeah.
Must be people, fucking hell. Do it for the brand, do it for the, you know, the whatever, the money.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're absolutely sick of Bob, who's 65 and away for the weekend. Ooh, would you want to be mates? No, I don't. No, I really don't.
Well, I don't think they'd be bored of that. I think they'd be bored of just what you were saying before. Maybe the brand stuff. Maybe having to, I don't know, constantly keep up that sort of, hey man, talking to all their ambassadors, you know, and they're like, I don't even like this guy. I think that'd be I reckon they probably like hanging out with maybe the common folk is who they enjoy hanging out with, you know. They're like, finally, I can talk to some real people rather than someone who's just trying to fucking, you know, talk about brand deals. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
You say that, but you went to a place where there was people like that and they didn't want to talk to you. So, you know, that's all do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they didn't want to talk to me.
No, I'd say you know what I mean. You know
I'd much rather have been in the pub with you.
Thanks,
but maybe
mate.
Not now, after that comment. No, I'm joking.
The wig, the glasses, the catchphrase. You want to be with them people. Yeah.
What's that?
The wig, the glasses, the catchphrase.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, well, let's start
so
from
I
the
went
top
to Holland.
Then. Yes, you went to Holland. Why?
Well, I had a gig out there.
Right.
And
who was the gig with?
The Lainey Wilson Experience.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
Was it two-parter question? Was it your first international gig with the Lainey Wilson Experience? Was it your first international gig? I've always just remembered it wasn't your first because you went to Switzerland and did a gig. So
no.
First question sticks.
No to neither of them because, I mean, do you count Scotland as international?
Nope.
Okay, well then, yes, with the Lainey Wilson Experience, it was our first international gig. So we went on Friday
Okay, so when was the gig? Saturday?
Saturday.
Right, okay.
The whole thing's a bit of a blur, to be honest. I'm not sure when we left on Friday. It was quite early in the morning. And then we got the shuttle from Calais.
Yeah. Were you all travelling in one vehicle?
All in one van.
Yeah.
And then we went from Calais all the way to somewhere near Eindhoven in Holland.
PSV Eindhoven, yeah.
Yep. And but it wasn't in Eindhoven. It said it on the poster it was, but it wasn't. But we got there.
It was the edge of the wedge. It wasn't the wedge.
Yeah,
it was the
exactly.
edge of the wedge. Yeah.
In town terms, yeah, it's the edge of the wedge.
Just put Eindhoven though.
It was an amazing place though. It was like this huge, I don't know, conference centre almost. It was massive. And we got there in the evening, and it was like this. Yeah, it was the country festival.
Okay.
And I didn't realise how big it was. I mean, they told us 25,000 tickets had been sold. And we went, okay. But I did keep I went, well, let's see how many people come and watch us, though. Do you know what I mean? Because it's sort of like, I never like, I said this, to the band, but I never like when that kind of carrot is, dropped in front of you. Where it's just like, oh my God, guys, 25,000 tickets sold. And I'm always a bit like, okay, well, we'll see who's there when we play.
Yeah.
But we turned up on the Friday and just sort of scoped it out.
So you went straight to the festival?
We went straight to the festival before going to the hotel that we'd be staying in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we checked it out, and it was huge. It was insane. It was this indoor, just so many separate rooms. I mean, it wasn't even. It was just like this huge conference place, and there was just all the stalls set up. There was 3 stages. I can't remember. And then there was just this horse showground bit inside.
Okay.
We were watching
real
some
horses.
Yeah, real horses, baby.
Okay, fair play. Yeah.
And we're watching, going, this is mad. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. And then we got back to the hotel.
Okay, question.
Yeah, go on.
Did you see anyone? Was anyone playing when you popped in on the Friday night?
No. So
was it open? Was it actually stuff happening?
So they were still setting up. So it was on the Saturday and Sunday.
Say that then.
Huh?
Say that then. No.
Well, it's Saturday and Sunday, and we just went on the Friday, and we had some food with the guy that was running it, and I think we were meant to sound check, but we didn't, and it was like, okay, well, at least Georgie sound check for her thing, because she was doing 4 shows on top of our show. So she was doing like morning and afternoon, and then we did the gig on the Saturday, and on the Sunday she was doing sort of morning and afternoon again. So it was a lot. But yeah, then after that, went back to the hotel. The hotel was amazing. It was this new, it must have been a 4-star hotel in maybe even 5, about 10 minutes from the venue. And it was just, just a new world of hoteling. You've got this little dial on the wall, like an iPad thing, and you can control the lighting and the temperature and just all these stuff from the fucking iPad. I was like, this is amazing. And but we dropped our stuff, went down to the bar, had some strong Belgian beer, and then we all ended up going back to Chris's room. So Chris and Milos were sharing a room, me and Jimmy were sharing a room, and we just had some beers and just chatted. We were like, this is weird, isn't it? But fun, we're in Holland. And then the next day we got up, and then free breakfast, unbelievable breakfast. I was drinking cucumber water and pancakes and...
It's the worst kind of water.
Pastries, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Well, you do drink bubblegum squash. So
yeah, but like, at least, flavoured water in general, nah. Like, if you're going to flavour it, do a squash. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can see, it looks so posh though, doesn't it? I wouldn't drink it every day, but when you see it...
But I feel like when you're hot at a summer wedding and you want some water and it's got fucking cucumber in it, cucumber's basically water anyway. What's the point? Let's make water taste a bit shitter.
It's nice.
And then serve
and
that.
also, I wasn't at a hot wedding. It's the morning in Holland. It's very cold. But you don't just have cucumber water. You have your tea, and you have a juice. It's a buffet, baby. You want to have many different drinks.
Of course.
And
Your
then,
decision to have cucumber water has just dropped you down a little bit in my estimation.
In what way?
You as a man.
What? And you drinking bubblegum squash doesn't make me think that you're a high flyer. So anyway, so we had breakfast and we went to the venue and then just scoped it out whilst Georgie was playing. We
Right. So what was she doing on her own that didn't involve you guys?
She was doing a 30-minute set just to track, just on this other stage. So we just kind of wandered about.
Was it Laney songs?
No, it was sort of country tunes. I think we were trying to keep the Laney thing separate until our gig because they were. I think it was weird. So the guy that was running the stage that she was on seemed to want her to do that. Want her to do the Laney stuff. But we didn't want to, I don't know, tell people, oh, we're doing the Laney stuff, and then they don't come and watch us in the evening or whatever. So anyway, so while she was doing that, we'd watch a little bit, and then we just kind of wandered about and shopped and did this and that, and saw what there was. I mean, it was manic. There was so many people there. I mean, it was insane, and. But then after she'd finished, I can't really remember. Then the timeline of the day gets a bit weird because then she was playing later than she thought, and we went back to the hotel and we chilled out and yada yada yada. It's kind of a bit like, what's going on? Where do we need to be?
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually we went back to the venue in the evening to do our gig. So this is where I have to be careful and not being too mean, but. The band on before us were terrible. Like, Chris looked like he was going to have an aneurysm listening to them, as did I, as did the rest of the band, because they were just, I don't know, they weren't very good. Also, I mean, even in the sense of like, they'd play a song and we started to time how long they'd leave silence before playing the next song, right? I mean, it was over a minute between every song. And if you think about any sort of band that's doing anything, even like down to like function level, it's like you want it to be like quick, and yeah, they'd finish a song and we were like, have they finished now? What's going on? There wasn't even a sort of like chatting to the audience. It would just be like dead silent. And
was there applause?
A little bit, but you could see like the audience dwindling, and we're like, fucking hell, like. We could just see people going before we were even on. And I don't think they'd ever had the festival run that late or something. I mean, we went on till 9:45, and I think we were just thinking, it's an exhausting place. It's like the UK Drum Show or any of those big events where after a few hours you're drained just because of the noise and whatever. And I was thinking, if people have been here since the morning, there's no way they're going to stay for us, There's going to be this band that's killing the room, and then after that we'll have to go on, but we have to line check and whatever first, so yeah, and we knew that they had to be finished at 9:15, and at 9:60 they started their last song, which was the worst version of Sweet Home Alabama I've ever heard, and we went, oh, for fuck's sake, and then it was just like, it was like when you play a gig and when you're 16 and they just don't quite get it, the band. But what was annoying is they weren't 16. They were all quite a bit older than us and sort of had this arrogance of like, yeah, we're the best band. Because it was probably, I mean, in Holland, it was, in country terms, it's like the big gig, Mm-hmm. And I don't know. But anyway, they finally finished and they were getting their stuff off, but so slowly. And we're trying to like get on, And as they're doing that, you can just see more and more people leaving. You're like, this might be a bit of a tough gig, But anyway, we set up and then we started the gig, and the gig was good, but it was a bit weird because it was I don't know. We were trying a new set, I was trying to be off charts. I felt like I made a few mistakes. It was very raw. It was sort of like, okay, this is new, you know. And also, it just been like a weird long 2 days. You know, we were saying, God, we've been back and forth to this venue, you know, like twice, and we still hadn't played the gig. It was sort of, yeah, I feel like a lot of our gigs, we sort of get there, like, right, you guys, you got 10 minutes to line check, then you're on. Like, Jesus, just got here. Whereas this gig, it was like, we've been in Holland for 2 days, you know, and now we're playing the gig. So it was, and we finished the gig, and we were a bit like, that felt like a fever dream, you know. It felt like Chris actually said, like, did someone spike our food? Because I feel a bit off, you know, like, it was just strange. It was a strange gig, but it was cool to do it. It was cool to try out the new stuff. But it was, yeah, it was one of those things. If I'm being blunt, you know, people were leaving while we were playing, and that's always like tricky, you know, because you're sort of like,
yeah,
come on, come back. But also at the same time, you're like, unless you're a Laney fan, there was about 30 people at the front who you could tell were hardcore Laney Wilson fans, so they were going to stay till the end, and they were all singing along. But the rest of the people were like, it's fucking, you know, 10:30 at night, and we've been here since whatever time, and it's on tomorrow, you know, like, let's just go sort of thing. So yeah, it's a bit of an uphill struggle trying to be like, come on, please stay, you know, but also understanding, because, you know. So
questions.
Yeah.
So you're on at 9:45. What was your sound check situation?
We basically, we couldn't do anything until they were off, and then when they were off, I mean, we just kind of line checked everything, but there wasn't really much of a what do you want in your ears sort of thing. They sort of did a general mix, and I'm quite good at being like, that will do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't much of a sound check, and yeah, it would have been nice if we'd have got to do that like earlier on, or even the night before, as it had been planned. But it wasn't to be.
So you said you went off charts.
Yeah.
So you did the gig with no charts at all.
I did. I was less on charts, but which was nice. But also, I still had them there, but it was more so just for like the set list. But it threw me off because I wasn't looking at them. But then at one point I looked at them, and I went wrong because I was looking at an old chart, and I went, oh fuck, I fucked this bit. You know what I mean? And so yeah, my goal this week is to really just get them all done to memory, and then just have the set list, because I do know them, and it was exactly what I talked about in the last pod, where it's like, when you know them, you do know them well enough, but then you have a look, and then it throws you off, and you go, I don't know where I am now, you know? So that was that. But that's enough about the gig.
Do you feel like you were there too long?
I don't know. It's a good question. I was talking to Chris about this. I was saying, like, when I did that Switzerland gig, it was really exciting when it was like, cool, you know, 3 days in Switzerland, but it's for one gig. And then you sort of like, we didn't actually need to be there really on the Friday. You know, it's like, because we didn't end up sound checking anyway. We could have turned up on the Saturday. Yeah. But I guess Georgie had to do her gigs, so we kind of needed to be there. It was kind of, I think I enjoyed being there the time we were there, because it was sort of a bit like, I don't know, a lad's holiday, you know? But if we were to do it again, I think we couldn't do what we did that time, you know, just go there for 3 days and play one gig. No, I think it was cool. But yeah, but if we were to do it again, it's like, you'd have to make your time a bit more worthwhile. And we were talking about it, like, if we try and plan some sort of Europe January tour, or like a couple of shows around it, you know? Yeah. So then that can be like the center point or whatever.
Was the money worth it?
I think so, in terms of like the way we all said it was like, well, it's January and we've got a little holiday out of this, you know. But that's why we were saying next year, let's make it more worth it. You know, if we're going for 3 days, be the house band over the weekend, you know.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean about you know, it was like we were waiting all day, and it was nothing, and then all of a sudden it's action stations go. You know, this is crazy, and then you do the gig, and then it ends, and then it's back to like, oh, we're now here for another 24 hours. You know, it's not even like you finish the gig and it's like right now we're off home.
Yeah,
it's like it's back to the same hotel and then back to the venue the next day. You know, so
yeah.
Do you want to talk about the email?
Yeah, we've had an email come in. Mr. Ted O'Reilly. Blimey O'Reilly. He's got in touch. He's emailed the show. He did what we ask every week. Email drumandrummerpod@gmail.com. And Ted Riley has said this. Hey, Ben and George. Hope you're both doing well. Just wondering if you have an episode about how you like to practice as drummers. Not necessarily for the next gig, but more in general to keep your technique in good shape, maybe rudiments, etc. I live in London and tried practicing at home, but disturbed the neighbours. Now I carry a small practice pad and lightweight snare stand in my backpack to practice rudiments while out and about. For everything else, I use the London Drum Studio self-service practice rooms. They also have a drumstick vending machine. Big fan of the podcast. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Ted, great to hear from you.
Thank you, Ted.
I don't know if we have a specific episode about practice.
No.
But I'm sure we've talked about it in little bits, but let's talk about this email now, shall we, George?
Yeah, let's do it. No, I don't think we have either. The closest I've ever got is talking about what I do with Pat, you know, in my lessons, and then subsequently in my life. What have you got anything, Ben?
Well, first off, I used to live in London, and practicing at home, challenging in a city like London. I guess we've disturbing the neighbours. I see a lot of stuff on Reddit and online about people moving to apartments or wanting to play drums, and it is just a very, very tricky thing to do when you share walls with people up and down, up, or across. So obviously, he's made a decision. Yeah, there's a drum studio. He can go to the practice room. First off, drumstick vending machine. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Never seen one of them.
No.
What else would be good in a drum vending machine? Drum keys.
Drum keys, that would be the best.
19-inch K custom hybrid crashers.
Yeah. Big time.
E4. That'll be £245, please. Beep. And then you just watch the thing spin, and then the cymbal just drops.
Smashes.
Smash. And then you got to just pull it out the slot. I'm also quite interested, Ted, in he says he carries a small practice pad and lightweight snare stand in his backpack while out and about. But I'd love to know where out and about you're bopping that out.
Yeah.
Costa?
Yeah.
The British Museum? The Tube? Don't know.
Yeah.
Practice. I mean, I saw this email and I thought about it. I mean, I've got to be honest, and I don't know whether my general apathy towards drumming and life has come across in this podcast, but I mean, it's just not really something I do.
No.
Like, I never really have. Like, which is bad.
Do you think you reached a point where you're drumming and went, that's enough for what I'm doing? That'll do. Do you know what I mean?
So I only really had drum lessons for 3.5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
From like year 8 to year 11. I had a great drum teacher and school lessons, 20 minutes a week in term time in a shitty little practice room with this absolute 80s Yamaha kit with the most beat up Remo pinstripe skins. The ball clamps on the toms just didn't work, so they always rested on the kick. Crappy, B8 cymbals.
Yep.
I had a kit at home, and I think, I don't know whether I was quite lazy, I think, and even with the trombone, I just found I could just do it. I didn't really have to I didn't feel like I was bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I didn't. I was like, I want to be able to do this, and then I could kind of do it very quickly.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel like I had things holding me back. Now, there was definitely like, I did my grade 6 and grade 8 on the drums. So I definitely like practiced the pieces, And my drum teacher was great. And it wasn't really until like, I had to stop drum lessons when I went to sixth form. I was planning to have them, but I just couldn't fit them in. I would have had to have gone to his house. I just couldn't fit them in with brass band rehearsals and everything else going on. So, but I did drums in 3-Day Bender. So I never really sat down and was like, right, rudiments, right. And then I spent so much time involved in the trombone that drums was my kind of side thing. It was my release. I'd go and play with 3-Day Bender. I'd go and do rehearsals. I'd go and do gigs, which was so different to the classical world. And it wasn't really with trombone until my third year where my teacher just absolutely roasted me and was like, the what he said, I'm sure I've said this before, like, you're really good, but you're fucking lazy. So just actually do some work and you'll be even better. Which really did kick in sort of the practice element of trombone. But I've also found as well, like, I guess because I would describe it, and people might think this arrogance, I would describe it as I just think I have a natural ability and a natural affinity towards music and playing it. That no means I'm the best, but I think it just is there. And I had a friend like at uni, trombone player, and he would practice religiously, like 5-6 hours a day, and he was phenomenal. He was great. But I remember him getting to a point, maybe even after we left, where he was like, and I never practiced that much, where he was like, oh, I think you had it right. Why did I spend so much time practicing when it was like, I only need to be able to do the gig I'm on? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why do I need to be able to play the solo from Bolero if I'm not doing the Bolero gig every week?
Yeah. It makes sense.
I need to be able to play the West End show I'm on.
Yeah.
I need to be able to play that. And that's whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I guess I've not had that drum direction from a teacher since I was 16. So I've not had someone be like Pat's doing with you, breaking your technique down and building you back up. Like I had that with the trombone for sure. But drums, I'm like, I don't think I've been in a position where I've really needed to do that.
No.
And I'm sure if I did go to lessons, that would happen. I don't know. I think if I am doing a recording, like, the gigs I play, I will practice. My practice is more knowing the thing I need to perform. Like, so being able to comfortably play the Auction Thief set, comfortably able to play these songs for the function bands, maintaining enough of a standard so I can do what I need to do, I think is probably where I sit. And I know there are faults in my technique and things like that, but I try to be conscious of what's potentially holding me back or what's potentially being a sticking point.
Yeah.
So I am conscious about my stool height, my ergonomics and my kit. I use function gigs to practice. If I'm doing like 4 to the floor, I will during the gig consciously be like, right, really try and get these kicks and snares landing at the same time. I'll use this as an opportunity to keep my hi-hat playing more consistent on eighth notes, or make sure I'm hitting the cymbals correct, with a good technique or things like that. So I don't ever really sit down and be like, right, stick control or things like this, which is probably bad, but I just I've not wanted to do that.
No.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because I think that's exactly it. If you don't need it for your, you've got your function bands and you record drums for artists that come into your studio, and it's like, if you don't need to go beyond a certain place in your playing for that, then, and if you don't want to, then it's fair enough. I think with your friend in uni, I think you were both right. I think he was right to be practicing stuff that he didn't need to play, just to improve himself as a player. But I think you were right in terms of, I don't know, if you felt like I don't need to do those extra things because I'm doing what I need to do, then that's
it's
fine.
a balance, isn't it? It is a balance, and I
It
think
is a
you're
balance.
right. We were both right. And the other key thing is efficient practice. You know, my professor was like, you don't need to spend 6 hours a day. You can get what you need to do done in 2, as long as you do the right thing. And I've mentioned it before in here about the juggling balls. You imagine you're juggling. Each ball is one ball is your posture, one is your embouchure, one is your, this is trombone I'm talking about. One is your holding the slide, one is your, all these different things. You're breathing, all these things. And what he did was try and teach me to, like, if something's not working for you while you're performing, while you're playing, which ball have you dropped? So you can quickly analyse, like, am I stood right? Or in drums, am I sat right? Am I holding the sticks correctly? Am I hitting the drum correctly? Is things in the right place? Am I breathing okay? All these things. So you can really self-analyse and self-fix during the performance. And I think as well, maybe I'm making excuses for why I don't practice, but I've recorded myself so much over the last 15 years, like playing for other people, doing stuff myself, like just being in that studio environment. I get to edit my drum recording a lot. That gives me real honest feedback. So while I don't have a teacher saying, watch out for that, when I hear my drums back and when I go in and edit them, I'm like, oh, that's flammy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a clean hit. That's not a. Oh, you're rushing when you do a 8th kick straight after a snare. You're always a bit early, or the hi hat's not very consistent there, or the opening of the hi hat is not very clean. So I've spent so long playing to click tracks in studios that that's something that's kind of, and I see it in other drummers. I edit so many other people's drums. I'm like, drum fill. They rush, So I know, well, when I'm doing a drum fill into the chorus, I'm conscious of not rushing and things like that. Not to say I get it right all the time, but I have a real daily analysis of my own drumming via recording, which I think helps me because I'm not just playing and then being like, well, that was great. Yeah. I'm then going and sitting down and analysing it for work and then being like, oh, that wasn't so good. That's where I am, and I'm sure if I went to someone like Pat or another teacher, like, they would strip me back down and try and build me up. But at the moment, I'm overall I'm happy with my playing, and I think a key thing as well, if you are setting time aside to practice, don't practice the things you can already do. Like, go straight to the hard bit, straight to the bit you can't do.
That's a classic. But I think that comes down to if you're happy with your playing, then that's all that matters. I wasn't happy with my playing, so that's why I wanted to up it. If you're happy with, okay, I'm doing all my gigs and I'm feeling good after them, and I'm doing the recording sessions and I'm happy with what then it's like, then there isn't any sense for you to, I don't know, like, work on certain bits, because if you don't know what the holes are, I don't know, if you're kind of like, no, this is all good, then that's up to you. Whereas I wasn't like that, and that's why I started going to lessons, because I'd play every gig and just feel like, I don't know, I was playing in the mud. I was just, it was like, I couldn't play right, and I was going, something's not right here,
Yeah.
And my wrist would.
So with your stuff with, you're having lessons with Pat, and then in terms of the stuff you're doing on your own in between the lessons, do you have any sort of structure in that? Do you see him every couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Is that right?
So
do you have any structure within that couple of weeks?
Yeah. So it's every 2 weeks, and then I always try and do the pad stuff. I try and do it every day. Sometimes life gets mad. But it's funny with Pat. I've noticed this more and more. It's that that curve of learning something is really petering out. As in, when you start learning drums, it's such a high uphill,
steep curve.
It's like, oh my god, this is so exciting.
Nothing to playing a beat.
Yeah, and then
is huge.
Yeah, and then exactly, and then it starts to level out a bit, and that's where people can drop off. And now with Pat, it's leveled out. So I mean, the stuff we're doing, it's like tiny increments of like just changing things like slightly, but trusting the process and just being like, this is making me better. And sometimes you go like, because it's so gradual, you sort of like, what have I not learned something new, but like. But then you look back at your notes and you go, oh my God, how was I not able to play that at that BPM when I can now play at this BPM? So there's the pad side of it. But in terms of practicing beats, I'm a bit like you. It's sort of like there's always some gig I've got to learn. I mean, for this week, I have to practice the Laney stuff. I don't know when because everything's busy already. But and then the following week, I've got a gig with your band, obviously, Wonder Year, but in the day I've got a rehearsal with that Ariana Grande tribute thing, so I'm going to do that 12 till 3 and then go to the gig, and so it's like that's two things, and I want to be good for Wonder Year, obviously, so I do want to run the set, even the songs that I already know, and I want to prep for the rehearsal as well. And then on the weekend I've got the gig with the 80s band, and there's a lot of new songs, so that's like 4 different 2-hour sets right there, or near enough, it's like 6 or 7 hours of music. So that's my practicing, actually playing beats and grooves. I think I have tried in the past to try and go through those books, those sort of groove books. There's loads of good ones. The Art of Bop Drumming and Groove Alchemy, and just things like that, where it's got transcriptions of sort of different drum beats. But I always kind of get a bit uninterested in them because you're not playing to it. It's just a beat on its own.
Yeah.
I was even given this Nate Smith book once, and it was kind of like a transcription of some of his beats. And it's cool, but it's at the same time, it's sort of like, it doesn't feel like it's music, So my practice is very much like, if I can't get to my studio because, say when I'm doing my job 3 days a week and it's 9 to 5, and it's like, I try and practice before I go to work. But if not, I'll do it when I get back. But it's like, there's so many other things. It's like getting to the studio takes time, and you got to, whatever. It's like, you really need to like set aside a good amount of time to go there. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. But I can always do pad stuff in my flat. Pad stuff from Pat in my flat. But then I'll go to my studio, and that would be just working on stuff on the kit. And the stuff I'm working on the kit is just the gigs I'm doing,
Yeah.
So it's a funny one as well, because I was thinking about when we had Josh Kaplan on, and he sort of said, he used to be so on it with his practicing, and then he's so busy now. He was like, if I'm being honest, I'm not doing as much, but it's like, but that's because he's doing this, these mad tours with James Marriott and a bunch of other people. And I thought it on a small scale whilst I was in Holland, because, I bought my sticks, my pad, and thought, I'll have a lot of downtime, But you don't, you know what I mean? Even if there's a lot of waiting around, it's not like it's the time to be getting your pad out, because you're chatting with people and you're doing something, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but in a nutshell, my practice in the week is, if I can, I go to my studio and work on whatever gig I need to prep for that week. And then around that, I do as much pad practice as I can, just to keep up my technique for Pat Garvey's lessons. But
I just think the things that are quite important to me, really, especially as like, I much prefer being a studio drummer, is it's almost like, you can practice all the, I don't know, this might come across wrong, but you can practice all the like flashy shit all you want and blah 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 blah, all that sort of speed and building all these things up, but like the majority of work I do in the studio, I just got to play nice, clean, simple stuff that's musical. So my focus isn't on like speed or like double kicks at 220 BPM. Like I've got to play a solid, clean beat for this artist, for their pop song or their sort of folky song or their country song. So for me, it's like hitting the drums well, controlling my own dynamics, and being musical. And the majority of times I'll be like, I know what I can do at my sort of upper limits, and Oxygen Thief pushed it and things like that. And but actually, the majority of drums you do in the studio for an artist is quite simple. It's. I saw a post on Instagram and it was someone playing like real flashy great shit, and then the next clip was, but this is what pays the bills, and they're just like dinging on the ride with just a kick on 1 and 3 and a snare on 2 and 4.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to do that well, I think. And so if I can just play cleanly, good dynamics within myself, play for the song, hit the drums cleanly, no accidental flamming, and play musically, and then I can give the artist what they want and give the engineer good drums to take on in post-production, then I'm happy. But I think for me, I think probably thinking about it, the amount of recording I do and editing and analysing on my own drums, that's what gives me the feedback to find those things. So, yeah, sum it up, I don't...
No, fair enough.
I don't really practice. Not in a let's sit down and do some rudiments. That's just not what I do, really.
No.
Probably not good advice, but anyway. But Ted,
It's
thank
honest.
you for your email.
Honest.
Honest. Yeah, honest.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up, Georgie boy.
Yeah.
We're going to record another episode now. Spoiler alert. Which will come out the following week, usual time, because I'm having my surgery this week. So I don't want to have to do a podcast while I'm in recovery. So we're going to bop out another one, but we will be back next week. Thanks for listening. Be like Ted. Email us at drumandrummerpod@gmail.com. Get in touch on Instagram. Follow us, yeah? Give the show 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. At Drum and Drummer Podcast on Instagram. George, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.